Right, I'm tempted at the moment to turn around to you and say, Enter battle! Instead, I should remind you there's a couple of footnotes you may want to watch all the way through the video to see the ones at the end. Right then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, hello, wherever you are, whenever it is. My name is Paul, I'm the brains behind Knickknacks Old Peculiar, the world's most boringly repetitive blog. Please Google for it. I'm also the man behind Knickknacks Daily Teaser, which is hopefully a fun, enjoyable brain teaser quiz. I will try and put both in the little eyes up in the corner there. I also watch movies, and again, I'll try and link to a few playlists if you're interested in the eye. And I also talk about TV shows I've watched. I've recently been watching Star Trek Picard, which is looking very good indeed. And I've also been, on Sunday nights, been watching Apple TV Plus's For All Mankind. Last night was Sunday the 12th of March, and last night was when I saw episode 6 of For All Mankind, called New Eden, and I wanted to tell you about it. Episode 6, New Eden, opens with the camera zooming in on the Sojourner 1, the NASA spaceship that has crash landed. The NASA spaceship that has crash landed with its mixed crew of astronauts and cosmonauts on Mars. It's crashed there, but as Danielle Poole, Chris Marshall, the commander, puts it, any landing you can walk away from is a good one. The crew are alive. They're the first human beings on Mars. They're some distance away from the Helios landing site, which is the other landing site from Earth on the planet Mars. And they now have to build a base with a mix of the limited gear the Sojourner 1 carried and the equipment the various supply ships had already managed to land. Because of the state it's in, the Sojourner 1 is not getting off the planet Mars. But Danielle is able to announce that, as Ed Baldwin, the Helios commander, is a very old friend, she arranged for a lift home. Until then, the team have got to get building a base fast, because the nights on Mars are going to get chilly. Now, what did I make of New Eden? Of an episode that starts with some sort of unity between crews and ends with the inhabitants of Happy Valley at each other's throats. That ends effectively with a lot of fighting and political shenanigans. I have got to admit, I absolutely loved it. New Eden is a fantastic little episode, and one that shifts focus from the dramatic space heroics of earlier episodes and shifts over to the messy politics. There's a scene with the Chantal Van Santen character, Karen, dealing with a bunch of Russians and negotiating with them. It's quite riveting to watch, for example. But the politics of the episode, the very tense, very watchable episode of the politics, hinges on a couple of simple things. One, the need to survive. Thankfully, the Russians have found water on Mars, water that all three crews on Mars will need to survive, water that is oh so conveniently near to the distant Helios landing site that the crew of the Helios have made their base. The deal between Helios and the Russian Roscosmos Agency is one that lets Russian and Helios teams on Mars exclude their NASA colleagues and causes outright arguments when NASA's commander, Danielle Poole, the usually unflappable Danielle Poole, finds out from contacts on Earth. The other, if you watched For All Mankind before now, you'll have realised that President Wilson, Jodie Balfour, and her husband Larry, Nate Kildry, are both very happy with each other's company, but also very closeted gay people. And they're in what used to get called a lavender marriage, a marriage of convenience between a gay man and a gay woman, designed to hide the fact that the pair are how they are from the rest of the straight world. And more importantly, from the extremely conservative Republican Party that they're members of, and from extremely conservative Republican voters the voters that put Wilson in the White House. What made things harder for the president is the simple fact that one NASA astronaut on Mars, Will Tyler, Robert Bailey Jr., comes out of the proverbial interplanetary closet in a TV interview that is seen by everyone on the planet, and at a time when US conservatives are looking for the next juicy moral panic. This is a time of fictional 90s when the LGBTQI rights aren't very far from perfect, when people would refuse to share ashtrays with people that they thought had HIV/AIDS. It adds a real-world twist, a nasty real-world twist to an alternative history, and it's a nicely done, beautifully handled story point. It really is. Will Tyler, the astronaut, is going to get a lot of flack from the Russians, I think. Now, with all of that said, I can only reiterate what I've already told you. I loved New Eden. It is another fantastic episode of an absolutely superb series, and frankly, I am going to be coming back and watching the next episode on Sunday night. You can tell, can't you? And I am going to be reviewing it the day after. Just to get my dates straight, I'll be watching the next episode of Star Trek Picard, Imposter, on the 17th of March, and I have my review up on the 18th. I will be watching the next episode of For All Mankind, Bring It Down, on Sunday the 19th, and have the written and video reviews up on Monday the 20th. I'll see you then. Let's call it a date. Right, on a slightly serious note here, I have, at least I hope I have, no issues with the LGBTQI plus community. Live and let live. That has always been a belief of mine. Or at least I hope live and let live has been a belief of mine, and that's something that comes across in these reviews. I do have a problem with the phrase LGBTQI plus. It's a bit of a bloody mouthful, and I wish the community could find something that's easier to say. It'd make my job a lot easier. Right, just to explain a few bits and bobs here. Towards the end of New Eden, and in order to take control of a suddenly messy political situation, President Wilson introduces an executive order that forbids gay people from joining the US military, prevents gay members from revealing their sexuality, and also forbids members of the services from asking or revealing another service person's sexuality. The scene and President Wilson's decision mirror the real-world decision by President Clinton to issue or introduce the don't ask, don't tell policy. It refused openly gay people from joining the military, and it refused to allow discussion of it. People couldn't ask, people couldn't literally tell. I believe the policy has since been lifted by President Obama, I believe.